Not everybody's going to like you. Not everybody's going to hate you. It's all on opinions and what people like. So just keep being yourself, really.
What's going on, guys? It's your boy, Tom Took Fresh, and stand back for another interview. This time, I'm joined once again by Andrew Pollard from What Culture WWE to discuss growing as a presenter. So, if we take this back to the beginning, my friend, did you set any goals for 2022 to grow as a presenter?
Surprisingly, I guess you could call me the Brian Danielson of What Culture WWE because I'm a man with very few ambitions or goals in life. So not really, not there wasn't any like specifics that I thought I'd sit down and thought I want to do this, I want to get better at this, I want to get better at that. Obviously, you want to get better with each and every video, but there wasn't a precise goal I set at the turn of the year that I thought by the end of 2022 I want to be XYZ.
How about now that we've entered a new year into 2023? Do you have any even small goals that you're like, that'd be cool to achieve by the end of the year? Even if it's not growing as a presenter, just any small presenting goals that you have for the end of this current year.
Um, Yeah, I'd like to do more interviews. I do enjoy doing interviews, and I've done lots of interviews over the years. I've had the pleasure to do that. There was one goal I had in life, which was to interview Bret Hart. Luckily, I've managed to do that twice. So that was kind of the one goal which has been removed, and now it's just like, yeah, whatever comes along, just comes along. Getting to talk about professional wrestling is I think all of us at What Culture Wrestling on the wrestling side appreciate how much of a privilege that is. So yeah, just getting to talk the talk again is all good by me.
Mm-hmm. So when it comes to your sort of uh, got a sort of like presenting style with, because I know you do solo Sunday news on What Culture. What do you think makes the solo Sunday news different to the other newses that are out there?
Well, in terms of ourselves, obviously every other day that we do news, it's normally fronted by two people. Whether that's in the week, it'll be Andy Murray and Adam Wilborn. And on Saturday, it'll be Gareth Morgan and Phil Chambers, and there'll be a few faces that come in here and there when people are on leave. And I just guess with myself because it's just me, for better or for worse. I'm fully aware that I have a tendency to ramble and go off on tangents. So if you like that kind of thing, that's why it's a bit different to our normal videos. If you don't like that kind of thing, that's why I get the beef in the comments. But no, that's mainly it. It's just I don't know, and I guess it's just me, and I there's more emphasis on questions from our viewership, our readers, our listeners, our fans. Dare I say it? So yeah, I like to answer questions more if we can, because a lot of the time on the Sunday it can be a slow news day if it's not a pay per view weekend, a
Mm-hmm.
premium live event weekend, and so I like to interact as much as I can with the people out there and answer any questions that they want to fire my way. Especially if they include pictures of dogs and cats and their pets with them, always puts a
Mm.
smile on my face, a genuine smile on my face on a Sunday morning.
What one is it that puts a smile on your face more? Is it dogs or cats?
See, I was always a dog person. My old man's a farmer, so we always had lots of dogs around. And then I got my first cat about well, she's 4 now, so like 4 years ago. And I can't not say cats at the moment because my cat would kick off if you heard me saying that. And I'm fully waiting for it to come in here and interrupt this at some point. But yeah, any and all animals are good by me.
Mm. So when it comes to areas of growing, where do you feel like you've grown as it comes as a presenter in 2022?
Um, I guess if I was to look at that, there's one of the things is the fact that I do these the most of the news stories that I do, which will be on a Sunday, are on my own. So you get accustomed to just front of the video, just where it's just you. It's sink or swim with yourself. Whereas normally, for the most part, you'd have someone else to bounce off, whether that's reporting with somebody else, whether that's doing a roundtable with other people, or whether that is doing an interview where you've got that person to ask the questions to and
Mm.
bounce off. So I guess it's just a case of being confident enough to just speak for 10, 15, sometimes 20 minutes on your own, really, and to try and make it not completely dull.
So you talked about there, obviously, the solo Sunday news is what it says on the tin. It's a
Yep.
solo sport or a solo video. So how is your prep, or how do you feel like you present differently when you do have a co-host?
It's a really good question, actually. That's a really good question, Tom. Um, it just obviously when you're on your own, there's not as much, I guess, banter as people would say. There's not
Mm.
enough as much energy sometimes. So when there's two of you and you've got someone to bounce off, there's that energy there. You can react to what they're saying, and it gives you an alternative, another viewpoint. So and it can make you think about things that maybe you wouldn't think about if it's just you talking about it. So say I was doing I don't know, say Michael Hamflett's, I'd stop by on a Sunday one time and he was doing a news video with me. He might say something that then triggers something in me of like, that's a really good point. And that means that X, Y, and Z could happen and this might, yeah. So it's a different way of doing things, really. That's all.
Who is the presenter at What Culture that you do maybe have different opinions on when it comes to wrestling, but you do ultimately have constructive arguments? Is that the right word?
Well, you can say constructive arguments or constructive debates.
Debates would have been the word I was looking for. Stupid
Yeah.
brain. Stupid brain.
I don't know. There's most of the guys we seem to be on a similar sort of wavelength. Like I guess, um, I guess, I guess sometimes maybe with Michael Sidgwick, who is fantastic at what he does, he's brilliant,
Mm.
one of the best out there. Sometimes I guess me and him differ a little bit at times. We have our core foundations are pretty similar, but he can sometimes he enjoys some of the stuff that I might not because I'm a very boring person who likes mat wrestling and just keeping things simple and maybe I'm not necessarily always the audience for an AEW Dynamite or AEW Rampage. Some of the stuff I give it a bit more stick than maybe some of the other lads. So maybe possibly some of the stuff with Sige, but I don't know. I think I'm in the minority on that one, to be honest, because everybody else seems to really enjoy that stuff. And I do enjoy a whole bunch of what AEW does, but then it's just sometimes I think I'm maybe a little bit too harsh in it. Not too harsh in it, harsher than some of the other guys.
Mm.
But like I'll
So,
watch something and it's like, oh come on, that looked a little bit too forced.
so when it comes to maybe your different love of wrestling, for lack of a better word, and your different takes on wrestling, how do you feel like that helps you as a presenter, and then how do you feel like that hinders you as a presenter at times?
Oh, I think it's nothing but good being having different opinions to other people, as long as you're all respectful in how you handle it, which we all are, because we're all adults who realize that you can disagree on things, and it's a good thing. You can see other people's viewpoints, you can take into account other people's thoughts, and maybe get a view on something from a different angle that you've maybe not thought about, and you can appreciate. It's not. There's nothing better than a good debate about stuff. It's just I think in wrestling, the wrestling fandom can sometimes be very much lines in the sand where no, if I think this, I can't. I'm 100% right. Everybody else is wrong, and I'm going to shout and scream about it. And there'll be somebody else on the other side who's doing the exact same thing. Whereas you like to think the more sane people, the more sensible people, logical people can appreciate that other people don't necessarily agree with you all the time, and that's good. That's healthy.
Definitely. You talked about lines in the sand there, and that sounds a lot like Twitter at times. So, what is
Yeah.
the worst Twitter argument about wrestling you've ever got in with someone?
I tend not to be honest. I'm good at avoiding arguments. I'm a very peaceful, laid back, chilled out kind of person. So I don't go looking for arguments. But it's some of the I mean it's the easy example to think of is the AEW and WWE argument where people that not everybody, but there is a certain section of Twitter where it's like if you like one company, you have to hate everything about the other company, and if the company that you like, you have to blindly adore everything about that company. And it's like, no, there's good stuff in WWE, there's bad stuff in WWE, there's good stuff in AEW, there's bad stuff in AEW. Just like what you like, let other people enjoy their stuff. Just because you maybe don't like, I don't know, a segment on Rampage last week or something, it doesn't mean you should be shouting and ranting at people who do. Let them just enjoy what they enjoy. There's no need to be make it's professional wrestling. There's no need to make it like so serious and heated.
I agree. So, how do you feel like people can take that almost like let's all be friends attitude when it comes to wrestling, and use that to connect with other content creators and grow as a presenter.
Yeah, I like I said, I think there's only positives from it because yeah, I don't get it when people can get so angry at people just because they don't like the stuff that they like, and it's like, especially when it's not doing any harm to that person. If you hate something on Rampage, but somebody else loves it, it's not affecting you in any way. It's not you don't like it, so that's cool. That's all right. It's your prerogative to not like it if you don't like it. But just because someone else is enjoying it, that's not affecting you. Let them enjoy it. Don't pile on the misery. So yeah, I think it's all I'd like to think more people are like that, but I'm also a realist. I know that Twitter and social media broadly is not always the nicest of places for stuff like that. People have again, it's a term that gets thrown around, the tribalism with stuff, or just you have people that just like to look for arguments and like to try and get a rise out of somebody just for, even though they never met that person, probably never interacted with them before on Twitter, say, but it's just right. I'm going to find somebody and I'm going to try and ruin their day. It's like, no, man, peace and love.
I agree. So, with it now being 2023, where do you see yourself going as a presenter? And where do you see the wrestling business going as a presenter? In 2023, I meant to say.
Yeah, I think the rest of it's in a good place. It's in a very good place. I'm a big one for me is New Japan Pro Wrestling, be able to get proper interaction with their fans back. That would be hopefully a big game changer. But like AEW is in a great place. WWE is in a really much better place than it was earlier in the year. Obviously, once Vince McMahon was forced to resign, that's turned around from being a show that was a genuine slog to watch, say with Raw on 3 hours on a Monday, well, Tuesday morning I'd watch it, to now being like, it's far from perfect, but it's a far smoother ride, whether it's Raw, whether it's SmackDown, whether it's pay-per-views. Impact Wrestling are absolutely killing it across 2022. So that's another indicator the wrestling business being, I mean, for those who like GCW and that style of wrestling, that's in a good place. The National Wrestling Alliance, the NWA, I love the NWA, but it's been a rough ride across 2022. So hopefully they can turn the corner a bit in 2023. But I think the rest of the business as a whole is in a good place. You've got Ring of Honor. Something may have happened there by the time this goes out on air, because Tony Khan's talked about there's been discussions and whatnot with maybe a TV deal. So I think if you're a wrestling fan, the great thing about wrestling right now is there's something for everybody and it's easily accessible. Like growing up as a kid, it was you'd have, well, initially WCW was on ITV, you'd have WWF as it was then on Sky, and that was it. Whereas now it's you can watch whatever promotion you want to watch. You can watch pay-per-views from companies the other side of the world that are independent promotions through places like Fight TV, which are just brilliant tools and resources. So yeah, the rest of it is in a good place at the moment.
You talked about Fight TV and things like that, and content being a lot easier. So how do you feel like the way content is produced has maybe helped you to grow as a presenter?
I mean, it means it broadens your knowledge because you're able to view things that you normally, well, that previously you might not have been able to have seen. So there could be some great match in I don't know, say the NWA, but if it wasn't for streaming platforms, there'd be no way to watch the NWA. Same with Impact Wrestling, because Impact the TV deal in the UK is no longer a thing, but you can watch it online. So it means that you can keep up to date with Impact. You can see great workers, great matches from people like Josh Alexander. Speaking of great 2022s, that guy, phenomenal. Diana Perazzo as well, Jordan Grace. But so it just means you've got it's if you want to learn more about wrestling, if you want to expand your mind and take in new wrestlers, it's all there for you at your fingertips. And that can't hurt you as a presenter, because if you're doing videos where you're talking about professional wrestling, it's never a bad thing to know as much as possible as you can about professional wrestling.
Definitely. So when it comes to knowing a lot about professional wrestling, as you say, what is an obscure fact that maybe you know about wrestling that maybe the wider audience doesn't know?
Ooh, that's a really good one. I'm gonna post something out which blew my mind and kind of ruined my childhood ambition, my one real ambition in life. where there's a famous photo that was in the WF sticker album from 1991. It was a blue sticker album, and it was just after WrestleMania 7, so just after the Hart Foundation had split up. So Bret Hart had gone on his own way. Jimmy Amble Neidhart kind of briefly departed the company, then came back as a new foundation with Owen. But there's in this sticker album, the background, near the middle of the page, it's a double spread. Is Bret Hart. And it's a really famous picture now where he's in like stonewashed denim, like double denim, and he's got his sunglasses on. And he's looking at all this snowy cliff, and just looks really cool. And from seeing that, it's like, right, when I get older, I want to move to Calgary, Alberta, Canada. That was my one ambition in life: Calgary, Alberta, Canada, Calgary, Alberta, Canada, Calgary, Alberta, Canada. And then I got to host a Comic Con panel with Brett. Where are we? Last year, I think it was. And got to after the thing was talking to him and spoke to him about that picture and how it's made me want to move to Calgary. For all these years, I've wanted to move to Calgary. And then he burst out laughing, like Pop Bret Hart. So I was very happy with that. And told me that that picture wasn't taken in Calgary. It was taken in, I believe it was the Antarctica, Antarctica,
Oh
where him and
wow.
Mr. Perfect. Yeah, so like my childhood dreams of moving to Calgary based on this picture. Nah. So that's my fun fact, is that famous Bret Hart picture was actually taken in Antarctica, and he'd been drinking beers with Mr. Perfect the night before, and so he's really glad of the shades because it covered up a hangover. So there's a fun little piece of trivia for you.
That's really cool. So when it comes to putting the solo Sunday news together, how do you go about that? Does someone who say was in the office on the Saturday, basically, how do you put the news together on a Sunday? Do you have to do the work yourself? Is some of it done for you, or how does it work?
Well, we have a video editor, Ryan Nicholson, who's great, who tends to work most Sundays with me. And so he'll edit the video after I've done it. He does all the technical side of it. But in terms of the rest of it, no, it's just kind of starting my day and then see what news stories are out there, write those up for the website. And then once it gets to maybe 9:30, 10 o'clock, so I normally start work about 8 o'clock on Sunday. So once it gets to about 9:30, 10 o'clock, then I'll sit down and record a news video covering 3 or 4 of the stories of the day. And like I said, if it's a quieter news day, then I'll throw in a lot more questions as well from anybody that's got in touch on Twitter. Although I try and get to all of those anyway, whenever I can. So yeah, it's just me writing about the news, then recording the video talking about the news. Then the video goes off to editor Ryan, who does his magic, and then it goes up onto YouTube.
What is one part of the solo Sunday news that you really enjoy? And then what is one that you're like, if someone could take it off my plate, I would appreciate that.
You trying to get me fired? No,
No.
no. I enjoy doing it. There's a lot I enjoy about it. I think the main thing I enjoy is the interaction with our audience, where they're sending questions, getting to answer questions, because like this interview, you don't know what's coming, you don't know what questions are coming, so it gets you just to think on your feet, and some of the questions can be a little random in a good way. And yeah, so I enjoy that. As to any negatives where I'd like somebody to take off my plate, um, there isn't really any, to be honest. I enjoy doing it. I do now and again enjoy having a Sunday off, which is quite rare. But I had, as we're
Mm.
recording this, I did have the previous Sunday off. But yeah, no, there's no real negatives. There's nothing that makes me think like, oh man, I wish somebody else could do this. Because again, it's getting to talk about wrestling for a living. I mean, geez, talk about first world problems. It's a privilege and an
You
honor
have
and
to.
a pleasure.
Mm. So when it comes to, you talked about there a lot, some weeks just enjoying a Sunday off if you get one off. How do you power through on them days you wake up and you're like, I wish I had the day off today, or something like that?
Um, I guess, yeah, there's not so many of it because I don't know. I'm quite good with perspective where, if there's one of those where you wake up and it's maybe 6:30 on a Sunday morning and it's like, oh, I need to go to work. And it's like, yeah, but think what we do for a living. There's a lot worse things to be doing. Yeah, it's like 10-year-old me would have, yeah, given their left arm to think that in however many years' time I'll be, making a living covering professional wrestling. So yeah, it's that sort of just give yourself a little reminder of that, and it's fun. It's fun when you start working and writing about wrestling and then doing videos and talk about wrestling. The day flies by. So before you know it, you're halfway through a day. You have a little break. You come back. You do a few other bits, and then that's it. You finish for the day. So yeah, there's not too many. There's not too many of those moments where you think, oh God, I wish I could do this again because it's fun to do.
Mm. Obviously, it's the solo Sunday news, but if What Culture say came to you and said, "Look, we want to give you a co-host, but you've got your pick of the What Culture guys, the What Culture WWE guys. You can have anyone. Who do you want as your co-host for the Sunday news?"
Um, I honestly, I'd be good with anyone. Like I'd be good with anyone being given to me. Like, right, here you go. You have to work with this guy on Sunday. There's, yeah, they're just all really good dudes, and they're all fun to work with. So I don't know whether it be you take Murray or Wilborn from the normal Monday to Friday news, or you have Michael Hamflet or Michael Sidgwick, or maybe it's a Phil Chambers stops by. I've done a few videos with Phil over the years, or Gareth as well, Gareth Morgan, who was the previous host of the Solo Sunday News. He was the one who founded the Solo Sunday News, as it were. Yeah, everybody's. I think it's hard to pick one. You've got someone like Cy that's come in, Cy White. You've got Adam Nicholas, who's behind the scenes, always tinkering away. Adam Cleary, of course, as well. So, and obviously Simon Miller, the elephant in the room, the bald a hole in the room, I guess we could call him. Yes, I don't know. I think if you're going to force me to choose one, I probably what's it, gunpoint. I'd probably go Michael Hamflet. Probably go Michael Hamflet.
Why does my why is Michael Hamflet your choice for a co-host?
We just seem to get on quite well, and we have a similar um, would just be every Sundays would just be a Bret Hart loving. So yeah, I think it'd be fun.
Hmm.
But then maybe you
So,
go with somebody else who's got slightly different opinions. I don't know. Yeah.
hmm. So, as we look at wrapping this up, because I do want to be respectful of your time, we're going to do a quick segment that I call generic questions. Those of you that have seen my videos before will know this, where I ask my guests
Okay.
their favorite match, favorite pay per view, favorite wrestler's theme, favorite tag team, and favorite superstar or wrestler of all time. But this time, as we're entering a new year, they're going to be all 2022 based. So basically, I'm going to ask you your favorite match 2022, your favorite pay per view of 2022, your favorite wrestler of 2022, theme, and tag team. So, what was your favorite match of 2022, Andrew?
Ooh, is the second match between FTR and the Briscoes for the Ring of Honor World Tag Team titles. That's probably giving me my match of the year for 2022. And as of recording this, there's still a few weeks to go of the year, but it's going to take something special to top that.
I agree. What about favorite pay per view?
Oh, Clash of the Castle, easily. Yeah, I'm very biased because as a Welshman, I'm biased, and also I got to have 4 days in Cardiff to go and watch the event. So absolutely, Clash of the Castle.
Before we get into the final generic questions, I do have some questions about Clash of the Castle. How did it feel
Yeah,
to finally meet your some of your co-hosts and colleagues in person? Because as I understand it, there was a few of them you hadn't met in person before that event. So how did that
yeah.
finally feel?
Yeah, I'd not met a single one of them in person
Oh,
until
really?
Clash of
I
the
didn't
Castle.
know
Yeah,
this.
really. Yeah, we've done lots of videos together, lots of Zooms and Skypes and whatever, Google Meets. But yeah, that was the first time I met any of them in person, and it was great. It was really good. I just seemed to hit it off straight away. I was just still in a bar where we had our live show on the Saturday, the day of Clash of the Castle. So I was just there on my own because I I booked the venue, so I was there earlier than everybody else. So it's just like, right, wait for people to turn up. And then as soon as people turn up, the first two to turn up were Hamlet and Sidgwick, and it's just like, boom, straight at ease, super nice, super lovely. Had a beer. The rest of the lads turned up. They're all great. They're all fantastic. Um, and Simon Miller even recorded a little a video for one of my friends basically called him a bald a hole. Oh, he's not bald a hole. He's an a hole. Yeah, so no, it was good. It was a good giggle. They're all good dudes. It was a fun time, and it was cool to see the crowd there as well in the venue. I can't think what it's called. Prism, the venue. It was cool. It was really cool, and they're all lovely people.
Who surprised you the most, for lack of a better word? Like, who sort of surprised you, whether it be their height, whether it be just the way they are off camera, in with meeting your cohort, with meeting your colleagues for the first time? Who surprised you the most?
Um, I guess babyface Cedric was the biggest surprise that because like I said they were all lovely. And I know Cedric gets a bad rep from some people online for being negative about certain bits. Just lovely fella, absolutely lovely fella. Got the babyface pop in front of the Cardiff fans. So yeah, he was working proper babyface in Cardiff. Yeah, but no, I expected them all to be nice, and they all were nice.
You mentioned there about expecting them all to be nice. So, who was the one that you were like, oh, you lived up to my expectations, or you lived up to how I thought you were going to be off camera?
Um, I guess all of them because I'd done I've been on video calls or done video work with everyone apart from Miller. No, there's been some calls with Miller in
One
big
day,
ones.
one day.
One day for you, Tom. One day you'll get him.
And you as
You might
well.
win.
Like, I'm saying, one day for you. Like, one day it'd be really cool for you to do an ups and downs with him. I think that would be really cool.
I appreciate that. I'm not sure if that day will come, but I appreciate the sentiment. Uh, yeah. No. So I kind of I've got to know him and speak to him in the work capacity, so that I knew they were all. None of them were idiots. They were all seemed like decent dudes. So yeah, there was. It wasn't so much living up to stuff. It was just yeah, they were just genuine how I dealt with him over the last few years working with him. So yeah, no, just nothing but good vibes.
What is a memory from Takeover Cardiff when it comes to the What Culture crew that you'll hold and be like, yeah, I'll remember that for a while?
Um, actually, it was a really nice moment from the people in Cardiff where there was like a big photo taken at the end, which is online somewhere, obviously because that's not what these things work. And there was a photo taken at the end of the What Culture crew in front of the packed venue that we had, and I was just like sat up to the side of like just leaving to get on with it. And then there was a couple of people calling for me to get in, like a hometown pop, as Michael Hamflet called it. So that was nice from whoever you people were in Cardiff who were telling me to get in the photo. So yeah, I'd say that's probably one nice memory one of the many nice memories that stand out. Yeah, it was cool.
Oh, that's really cool. But getting back to the generic questions, so you said your favorite match of 2022 was FTR the Briscoes number 2.
Yep.
What about favorite pay per view of all time of 2022? I'm so used to saying all time.
Yeah, Clash of the Castle for me, just because the UK pay per view, being in Cardiff as a Welshman, getting to go to the event, having a blast, getting to see obviously catch up with the work people. Also saw some friends of mine I've not seen since before the pandemic. So yeah, it was a really cool time. Got to have 4 days in Cardiff. I love Cardiff. It's such a cool place, and the show itself was really good. Really good. Walter and Sheamus, oof, in terms of match of the year, that was right up there. That was
Mm.
right up there. But no, it was a really cool pay per view from top to bottom, just as an experience. I'm sure if you wanted to critically analyze every match and go the star ratings route, brother, then there's maybe other pay per views that jump out above it. But for me, Clash of the Castle.
No, that's just a trickle treat. We're good. Favorite tag team of 2022?
FTR, just the best team on the planet, as they have been for the last what 6, 7 years. Just yeah, FTR, Dax and Cash, simple.
Favorite wrestler's theme of 2022?
Ooh, that's a question. Um, Ricky Starks, possibly. Let me think. I
Mm.
do. I do. Jamie Hater's theme's grown on me a lot. Just with frenetic energy of it. Roman Reigns got a beast of a tune at the moment. Um, it's a really tough one. No, I'm gonna stick my original answer. I'm gonna go with the absolute Ricky Starks.
Mm. All I can think when I hear Ricky Starks' theme now, and this is changing the subject slightly, but is have you seen that clip of Taz where he's dancing along to it and
I have,
just
yeah.
singing to it? All I can think now when I hear his theme is that. Or, and then finally, as we wrap this up, favorite wrestler of 2022?
Is it bad to say CM Punk? No.
No.
I've loved CM Punk's time in AEW. Again, when we record this, chances are he's probably not going to be with the company. We don't know that right now. But no, my wrestler of the year is Dax Harwood. Yeah, it's Dax Harwood for me.
Why does he speak to you?
Um, Again, it's not just because so much of what he does is a Bret Hart loving, but just because he's had a chance to prove himself not just as a tag team wrestler in 2022, but also to show what he can do in singles matches, which we've historically not really seen much of from him. I mean, his match against Cash Wheeler as well in the tournament, the Owen Hart tournament, was great. But just any of his match, just everything that he's done this year, I felt has been gold and Cash. But I just think with Dax, yeah, it's been a special year for him where he's been allowed to show how good of a talker he is. He's been allowed to show how genuinely world class of an in ring worker he is on his own merits, not in a tag team. But then in a tag team, again, my match of the year is FTR, as of this recording, FTR versus the Briscoes. And FTR versus the Briscoes #1 is probably not far behind that either. So yeah, Dax Harwood for me just ticks so many boxes of what I like about professional wrestling. He brings, we all know that we've all seen behind the curtain so much. We all we all think we know the ins and outs of the business, but Dax Harwood makes you think it's as real as real can be. It's real to him, so it's real to us. I feel like I'm going to go into that NWA guy about still real to me, damn it. But yeah, he brings just legitimacy to everything he does. He makes it feel like a big deal, whether he's talking, whether he's wrestling, whether he's tagging, whether he's singles. And I am here for that all the time.
So the question I end all my interviews on, Andrew, is with YouTube, with podcasting, with social media in general, we're all sort of going to live forever in some sort of way. So what is one piece of content that you've created in 2022 that you want the good people to check out? And then what is one that you're like, if you could avoid that, I would appreciate it?
I guess I'm trying to work out when these things happen, whether they're 2022 or 2021. But I'm gonna say there was, yeah, an interview with Miro that I did this year. That was fun. That was a good one. That was around about Forbidden Door time, and that was a lot of fun to do. That was a lot of fun to do. He's a good dude. So I'd say I'd recommend that one. In terms of one to avoid, they all kind of blur into one because a lot of them are just the solo Sunday news. So I don't know. I'd say the one to avoid would be the most recent. No, I don't know. The first one of the year, I'm just going to say, because I'm just pulling that out of a hat, because chances are that's probably worse than the one that came after it, or the one that came after it, and the one that came after it. Because I'd like to think it gets better every week. That's
Yeah.
my default answer around that.
So obviously this topic has been about growing as a presenter. So you talked about getting better every week. So where are you? We talked about in the beginning where you're hoping to grow in 2022. But what is one thing you want to keep from yourself as a presenter in 2022 going into 2023?
Yeah, I think you always want to, especially when you're doing something on your own, which like the Solo Sunday News, you always want to keep as much personality of you as you can. You want to try and showcase that for better or for worse. Not everybody's going to like you. Not everybody's going to hate you. It's all on opinions and what people like. So just keep being yourself. Really, keep maintaining your own thoughts, your own approach, your own personality. Really, in terms of what to lose. I don't know. It's just a case of seeing what you do each week and then looking what bits could be better. What maybe sometimes I've rambled too much, or maybe I've rushed through something too much, and it's more a case of slow down. Because again, I have a habit on a Sunday morning of drinking a lot of coffee, so it depends when that kicks in and when I'm recording. So sometimes it could just be thank you very much, and I'm off. And other times it's a bit slower pace. So yeah, just slow things down, nice and concise, get things out there.
I think that's a beautiful way to end it, if I'm honest, Andrew. So where can the good people find you and/or your content?
Yeah, at Cultured Left Peg on Twitter, and that's about it really. I mean, you can find me on What Culture WE on What Culture Wrestling on YouTube every Sunday, and also just stuff that I write as well on the main What Culture website. So yeah, that's about it for me.
It's well worth doing, guys. So if you guys like this video, make sure you like, share, and subscribe. to Tom Talk Trash. Follow me on Twitter at Tom Talk Trash. And I will see you in the next video. A goodbye.